Welcome to the Inlay. I'm DM Bigfoot, and today I'm going to take a look at a game that I've wanted to talk about for a while. I've had it for a while, but the reason I haven't talked about it is, well, sort of hard to, how about I just show you what it is? This is GOSU, and let me take you inside the box, where you will find a nice big, hefty deck of cards, and some tokens. Now the box doesn't really have an inlay here at all, but it's got the cover art inside the box, which is cool. Plus the game doesn't really need an inlay, just with so few components, it's not like you're gonna really get disorganized with all this inside the box. GOSU is short for Goblin Supremacy. And in this game, each player takes on the role of a general hell-bent on crushing the opponents with their own personal army of goblins. Now to do that, each player needs to build an army of goblins in a formation like this. Now there are 3 levels of goblins, level 1, level 2, level 3, and the higher the level, the more powerful they get. Now on a player's turn, they can play a goblin from their hand, like so. Now, for level 1 goblins, the first goblin you will play will be free, but any additional goblin that's a different color you have to pay for. Level 2s and level 3 goblins you can play for free, so long as you have goblins of the same color underneath it. Like this green one I just played, I could play because I had a level 1 green one. And this level 3 white one I could play because I have level 2 and a level 1 white one in the ranks below it. Now, the next thing you could do is mutate your goblin. Now, only some goblins can mutate it. If the goblin has a number here, that means it can be mutated. You pay that cost, and you can replace that goblin with another goblin in your hand of the same level. And mutating them usually has some new special effect, plus you have a new goblin that's out, to give you whatever effect it has. You also have 2 activation tokens you can use. Now you can trade in these activation tokens just to draw cards, drawing 1 card for 1 or drawing 3 cards for paying both, but there are also certain goblins that have special effects by playing activation tokens on them. On your turn, you can do any of these things one time. You can play 1 goblin, mutate 1 goblin, and play activation tokens. Then play goes round and round until each player has decided to pass, meaning either they don't want to play any more cards from their hand, or can't. As soon as everyone has passed, you tally up the strength of your entire army, and the person who has the highest strength wins the big battle. So, the strength for each individual goblin is printed right here. And it's the same for every goblin of the same level. So every level 1 goblin has 2 strength, every level 2 goblin has 3 strength, and every level 3 goblin has 5 strength. And, like I said before, at the end of each round, when you have the big battle, you add up the strength of all the goblins in your army, and the winner of that battle gets a victory point token. And the first of 3 of these wins the game. Now that's all well and good, but here's where the game gets tricky. At the beginning of the game, each player is dealt a hand of 5 cards. Now this is the only time that the game will ever just give you cards. You don't draw at the beginning of your turn, you don't even draw at the beginning of each round. And it gets worse. You remember when I mentioned that you have to pay for some of these cards, that they have a cost? Well, you have to pay for that cost in cards that you have to discard. You have to pay that mutation cost in cards discarded. When you want to play a new level 1 card that's a different color, you have to discard 2 cards. So that hand that was so small and precious that you want to just protect now has to be sacrificed to some cruel goblin god. But all is not lost. You see, each card has a special effect. Most of them kick in right when you play the card. Some of them kick in when you mutate them or when you play an activation token on them. And a lot of these effects do allow you to draw more cards, so you'll hopefully have something you can do when you're sort of caught in a corner. Otherwise, you're kind of just stuck. And herein lies my biggest problem with GOSU. It swings so much on the luck of the draw. You could draw cards that click together like a well-oiled tank and use it to crush your enemies. You could also draw cards that you trip over like tank parts that someone just threw into your front lawn. I've gotten legitimately frustrated at this game so many times that it makes me want to pull my hair out just thinking about it. But when you can make it work, when you slam together the perfect combo that turns you around right at the verge of defeat, when you thought there was no hope and you end up on top, you end up winning, it feels amazing. There is an elation that just washes over your body when this happens because you've worked so hard for that victory. You feel like you've earned that victory, and it's great. And don't let that hair-pulling comment fool you. The game is fairly generous with cards that give you, the effect that draw cards and other various effects that give you at least something that you can do when it gets to your turn. So, my friends, end of the day, I would say that GOSU is a puzzle. A puzzle where you have to sort of figure out how best to lay down all these cards, how most efficiently to click together your army. It's a puzzle that makes you have to wonder, what cards do you start with? When is it okay to discard some of your cards? When do you mutate your cards? When do you use your activation tokens? Is it okay to lose this big battle in order to be more prepared for the next one? But yeah, it can be a game that is frustrating because of that luck of the draw that I was talking about before. Maybe you don't get the cards that you need. Maybe you're just stuck with a hand of high-level goblins. You don't have anything you can do. You're just sort of sitting there taking it from your opponent and not being able to really do anything. And this can get frustrating. But it's also very clever and very fun at times. And it's because of the duality that this game has that I've had trouble talking about it. I can't always just fully play this game. I recommend it because I always have to have that caveat. It's like, play this game, I recommend it, but it can be frustrating. And if you play it with friends that have short tempers, then they're probably going to set your house on fire. But if you're the kind of person that can take the stress of war, then I think GOSU could be a game for you. It's small, it's cheap, the art is very nice, the components are very nice. So, GOSU, recommend it. Just try not to have your friends burn your house down. And if you do like it, there is an expansion called GOSU Kamakor, and there's a sequel called GOSU Tactics. Now, I haven't played either, but as I understand, GOSU Kamakor is an expansion where you just have more cards to put into the center deck to give you more variety. But GOSU Tactics is a sequel to the game, where they sort of retooled the mechanics. The cards have no text on them. It's just symbols to tell you what other the cards do, which is really interesting. But one of the things I found out about it is that you do draw on every turn. And when I heard about this, I was a little bit disappointed. Because the fact that you don't draw cards at the beginning of each turn, or ever just draw cards naturally in GOSU, is one of the things that gives GOSU so much traction, I think. Because you only get cards, by playing cards, you don't ever get them naturally. Everything you do is deliberate in GOSU. You can't just make lazy plays because you're just gonna go nowhere. You have to really think about every single action that you do, and I think this is a very clever way to keep the players involved. So, I don't know about GOSU Tactics. It's like, I haven't played it, so I don't know. But I would love to play it to see the differences and to see, how they've retooled the rules. Because I'm sure they've adjusted the rules to fit with the fact that you do draw on every turn. So I would love to play it, and I'd love to see it. And when I do eventually get around to playing it, I'll let you know what I think. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to see more from the Inlay, you can check out more videos on this channel, and you can go to istcomics.com/theinlay for more news, reviews, and articles. While you're there, you can also check out Generation, a webcomic about superheroes, pregnancy, and awkward silences. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.